Good morning. I'm Reverend Gina, and I am blessed to be here this morning. So grateful to have you here with us. We have a wonderful program today. We have a service that I am so grateful. We have Sonia Hart with us, our practitioner from Barbados, and of course, the lovely and absolutely beyond wise, someone that I consider a mentor, Reverend Dr. Toni LaMotta, doing our message. Our topic for today, which is wonderful, is how do you know what you know? If there's one thing that we do in New Thought, it's we question everything. And we're supposed to. The question why, to me, is so important. Why do I believe that? Why do I act this way? Why do I do these things? Because when we truly know ourselves, our highest selves come out. And I am so grateful to have that unfolding today with you. So we are so grateful to have you as part of our community. Just so you know who we are, CSL Greater Boston is an inclusive community based on love and acceptance that is a healing presence for all through joyful connection, activities, and education. Our mission is a spiritual community that is lovingly embraces all races, ages, abilities, genders, and the celebration of diversity through the practice of science and mind teachings and principles for the betterment of each individual and the oneness of all. And our purpose, we bring about positive change within individuals and the world by teaching and embodying the science of mind teachings and principles, and carrying them out into the world. So thank you for being here as we step out into the world. Thank you for helping us to be in this place. And, I have a song that I chose today that it's so important to know ourselves, but also to love ourselves. So the first song we're playing is I Love Myself the Way I Am.
Myself the way I am. There's nothing I need to change. I'll always be the perfect me. There's nothing to rearrange. I'm beautiful and capable of being the best me I can. I love myself just the way I am. I love you just the way you are. There's nothing you need to do. When I feel the love inside myself, it's easy to love you. Behind your fears, your rage and tears, I see your shining star. And I love you just the way you are. Love the world the way it is, 'cause I can clearly see that all the things I judge are done by people just like me. So till the birth of peace on earth that only love can bring, it grow by loving everything. I love myself the way I am, and still I want to grow. But change outside can only come when deep inside I know I'm beautiful and capable of being the best me I can. And I love myself just the way I am. I love myself just the way I am.
Yes, everything begins love. And we love you and we're grateful that you're here. So let us know, wherever you are, whoever you are, let us know you're here. We love your comments. We are live and we would love to hear from you. And now we're going to go to prayer, which is our gift that changes everything. And we have the lovely practitioner, Sonia Hart from Barbados. Good morning, Sonia. How are you today?
Good morning, Reverend Gina. I'm not 100%, but I'm pushing through, doing what I have to do. Good morning, CSL Greater Boston, and anyone
Thank you
else
for
from around the
praying for
region.
us.
You're most welcome. And anyone else around the world who has tuned in to listen to us today. It is at this point that I'm going to ask you to silence the mind and open the heart as we go into prayer. God is all there is. God is love. God is joy. God is peace. I am made in the likeness and image of God, and all that God is, I am. And as I know this for myself, I know this for each and everyone present here today. And so I speak my word, knowing that I live in a universe of absolute good. I live in a place of joy, of peace, of love. Each and every one of us present here today, I am knowing for each and every one of you that you too live in that place of love, joy, and peace. Because each of us have our being in God and expresses as God. And so I give thanks. I give thanks with a grateful heart for this knowingness, for this beingness. And so I release this word, knowing that it's done, it is always done, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you so much, Sonia.
You're welcome, Reverend Gina.
And I have the reading today, and it's actually one of my poems, and it's called Draw a Picture. I was raised to be a good girl, to take care of others, and shown how to act. As a small child, I was taught to do this, but definitely not that. I drew pictures of my world, sometimes blue skies, others gray. I drew to show you what I could see, what it was like to be me. As I grew older, my views changed. People were cruel. The world seemed to have changed. People stopped asking my point of view. I lived, I did, with my choices, showing them who I became. I realize now I have drawn my life. My relationships are how I saw people. My career from all I had done. I painted without conscious thought. I created my life from what I was taught. Finally, I recognized my power to create, all limits self inflicted, in a picture to demonstrate. So today I decide what I watch, think, and do. I finally realized that whatever I focus upon will inevitably become my view. So before we get started with our topic, and I introduce our beautiful speaker this afternoon, or this morning, I am going to play a song that she actually chose. It's actually, this version is Aretha Franklin. And it's It Ain't Necessarily So.
It ain't necessarily so. It ain't necessarily so. The things that you're liable to read in the Bible, it ain't necessarily so. Now little David was small, but oh my. Yes, David was small, but oh my. He fought big Goliath, who lay down and died. Yes, David was small, but oh my. Have you ever heard about Jonah? He lived in a well. You ever heard about Jonah? He lived in a well. And he made his home in that big ship after money. Yes, Jonah, he lived in a well. To get into heaven, don't snap for a seven, live clean, and don't have no fault. Now take me, yeah, I takes that gospel whenever it's possible, but with a little grain of salt. Methuselah lived 900 years. Methuselah lived 900 years. But tell me, who calls that living when no gal is given to no man? Well, it's 900 years. That's why I say that it ain't necessarily, it ain't no necessarily, it ain't necessarily so, ain't necessarily so, ain't necessarily so. Ain't necessarily so.
Yes. How is it that you know what you know? And I'm so happy to be here to introduce Reverend Dr. Toni LaMotta. This is someone that I have the blessing of having as a professor in the School for Spiritual Leadership in Florida School for the Holmes Institute, the Florida campus. And from the first class, I said, wait a minute, she is different. This is definitely not your typical professor. She taught her way, and I got it. I really appreciated the inquisitive nature of going a little deeper and looking at it in a different way. And, she has been in ministry 30 years and she just keeps looking deeper and finding new ways to look at life and teach life in amazing ways. She is, the also the education coordinator for the Integral Christian Network. And, she teaches classes that are incredible. So I encourage you. I actually have her website because I really encourage people to take a look and be, you know, really spend some time. If you're looking to go within and look at things differently, she has a gift to be able to do that. Not just in her, of course, I love her when she gives her message, but when we're actually going deeper in a class, it's incredible. So I encourage you to get to know her even better. So I bring in, and I am grateful for one of my mentors, Reverend Dr. Toni LaMotta. Good morning, and thank you for being here with us.
Good morning, Reverend Gina. Just delightful to be here again. And, I just keep thinking of that song, and it kind of makes me smile and laugh, but it's also reminds me of a message someone gave me years ago that said, "Don't even believe what you believe." And I thought, that's an interesting thought. So I decided to reflect on that with you all today. And Reverend Gina actually invited me to keep things light today. We were talking about, this has been a month of heavy topics. So I'm going to invite you to bear with my sense of humor because I am attempting to probably tell a few jokes today. And I'll start with one. There was a 70-year-old man who went to his doctor for a checkup, and the doctor was amazed at his terrific physical conditions. So, looking for an explanation in genetics, the doctor said to him, "How old was your father when he died?" And the man said, "Don't assume my father is dead. In fact, he's 90 years old and he still plays golf every day and he walks the course." And the doctor said, well, then how old was your grandfather when he died? And he said, "Don't assume my grandfather is dead. In fact, he's 110 and he just got married." And the doctor said, "Now, why would a man of 110 want to get married?" "Well, don't assume he wanted to get married." Anyway, today's message is about how and what do you really know. And basically, it's connected to the work of the Don Miguel, who wrote the book on the Four Agreements. Every year, when I was running churches, I began every year by repeating the messages of the Four Agreements. And one of my favorites is the third agreement, which says, "Don't make assumptions." So I know that this month at CSL has been all about paradigms. And so this connects by asking the question, how do I know what I know in life? And I'm going to ask all of you, what's your criteria for saying something is true? And I'm inviting everyone to begin questioning yourself when you say, "I know that." Interesting. Maybe you saying, "I know it because Reverend Gina said that last week or said it in a class that I took. My mother or father told me when I was a child. I read it in the newspaper." Even if you see something with your own eyes, you can't call it true because even depending on your personality, you see things differently from other people. I have this favorite picture hanging on my wall. I've taken it from every home I've been in. It's of Christina's World. It's Andrew Wyatt, if you know that painting. But it's a woman who's sitting in basically a lawn that looks like it's quite dried out. And she's looking up at this barn-like house. And I used to do team building workshops, and I'd show this picture to everyone. And whether the people, we were studying different personality types, and some people see the big picture and some people see all the details. And the big picture people are called intuitors, and the detail people are called censors. So when I asked the censors to tell me what they saw, it was interesting. Most most of them said, I see this dry lawn, and then I see this ladder leaning against a house, and the third window from the right is open. I mean, they would go into tiny details. But the intuitors would say, there's a woman quite forlorn, and she's laying in the grass, wondering if she will ever reach that barn and reach her dream. It's interesting. You know, we see and we interpret everything we see, and we can't trust what we see to tell us what is real. So, most of us, when we're describing something that we see, we add to it and we make up a story about what we're seeing. And all you can tell of what you actually see is what a video camera would see. It can't see something like mad, glad, sad, or any other emotion. It might see someone frowning, and people would say they're mad, but it could be because the sun is in their eyes. How do we know? So instead of making assumptions, we need to begin really asking questions. This is what this looks like, might be the first thing we say, and then find out what the other person's view is on something. Miguel tells us, communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings, sadness, and drama. Leave no communication in question. I wonder what he meant. Do you think she means this? We do this all the time. And the suggestion is to not make assumptions, but ask. Verify the truth before you act on it, and certainly before you spread it through the grapevine. You know, and not just like I found this from a reliable source. From very early on, we learn to make assumptions because the truth is, we think we always have to have an answer. And I don't know about you, but I was taught in school not just any answer, you had to have the right answer. What did that teach us? So today I'm going to invite all of us to give up two things in life. You ready for this? It's the need to be right and the need to be in control. Oh boy, aren't you glad you came today? You need to be right and the need to be in control. And both of those are illusions anyway. You know, do you ever find yourself arguing for something that you don't really even know is true? We all have opinions and we take a stand as if they're the truth. And I actually worked on this particular idea for a long time in my life. And now I have a new approach and I welcome you to try it. But when someone says something I don't agree with, my immediate reaction used to be to set them straight, to let them know the truth. And I used to call it my teacher persona. But since I really began practicing deep listening, now when someone says something I disagree with, I take on an attitude, and maybe sometimes even say this out loud, that's interesting. I wonder how they grew up or what caused them to believe the way they do and what they do. And then I really try to hear why they think what they're thinking rather than assuming that I know what they're thinking. And of course, what they're thinking is not what I'm thinking. And so something must be wrong with it. You know, don't ever assume you understand another human being or know why he or she is doing something. The truth is, we don't even totally understand ourselves most of the time. Miguel says we're actually living in a dream, and we have so many assumptions that we make about life and about ourselves that we take for granted. It's our way of being in control. We have a set of ethics that we live by. What's important to you in life? Make a list, and you'd be amazed as your values and how you came by why you do what you do. But be careful, because when you discover your list, that's what your assumptions are based on, what you think is important. I guarantee that if you try to do that list for your spouse or partner or your best friend, you'll probably be wrong most of the time. I used to do a lot of work with couples who were looking to get married, and I often like them to do this values list. What's important in a relationship? Prioritize. And then, if the top three things aren't alike, I had some serious doubts that that relationship would work. And most of the time, it didn't. We all make assumptions all the time. There's nothing wrong with making assumptions. We just ought to know what they are and be willing to challenge them in order to grow if they aren't serving us well. We live our lives on our assumptions, and they get us into trouble when we remain unaware of them. For example, if you assume you don't know something, the universe will do everything to support your not knowing. Interesting. And the same law works on the negative assumptions. I don't know how to. Whenever you say that, the universe says, okay, you don't. We're not going to show you. It's interesting. I bet you have years of proof to back it up, because that's what happens. We make an assumption, we believe it, and whatever we believe to be true actually becomes not really true, but it becomes our experience until we wake up and we realize it ain't necessarily so. We give meaning to all our experiences based on assumptions about ourselves, about other people, and even about God. I came across what I found pretty humorous, although somewhat stereotyping, uh, proofs. This is proofs about Jesus. There were three proofs that he was Mexican. Number one, his first name was Jesus. He was bilingual, and he was always being harassed by the authorities. But then there were equally good arguments that Jesus was African American. He called everybody brother. He liked gospel, and he couldn't get a fair trial. Then there were equally good arguments that Jesus was Jewish. He went into his father's business. He lived at home until he was 33, and he was sure his mother was a virgin, and his mother was sure that he was God. And then there were equally good arguments that Jesus was Italian. He talked with his hands. He had wine with every meal, and he used olive oil. And then there were equally good arguments that Jesus was a Californian. He never cut his long hair. He walked around barefoot, and he started a new religion. Then, we got to be fair, he was equally good arguments that he was Irish. He never got married, we think. He was always telling stories, and he loved green pastures. But the most compelling evidence, three proofs that Jesus was a woman. One, he had to feed a crowd at a moment's notice when there was no food. Two, he kept trying to get the message across to a bunch of men who just didn't get it. And three, even when he was dead, he had to get up because there was more work for him to do. I told you I'm attempting humor today. Assumptions are all pervasive, so pervasive that, we don't know we're even making them. So, how do you even begin to watch your assumptions? Here's the trick: whenever you get upset, triggered, behind the upset is usually a fear, because there is a need to be right or in control. So, the best way to practice this agreement is to catch yourself whenever you get angry, annoyed, agitated, whatever word you used for it, and ask yourself, what need is active here? Is it my need to be right or in control? And then you ask yourself 3 questions. Could I let this go? Hmm. Would I let it go? And if so, when? Changes everything. Trust me. Stop and ask then, what assumptions am I making? What am I taking personally? Recognize that we only see and hear what we want to see and hear. Our minds don't like not understanding. So we make up assumptions about meaning. We make assumptions all the time about what other people are doing or thinking, even, what we think they should be doing and thinking. Your partners, couples, families, friends assume the other knows what we want. They should know me. If he or she loved me, he or she would know what I want without my telling them. And then when things turn out differently, we start to take it personally. These assumptions are powerful. Then we blame the other person, react by using the powers of our word to retaliate, spewing out poison, which affects our own atmosphere. We need to ask instead, is this what you mean? Repeat statements back to someone. That's what active listening is about. This is what I heard you saying. Is that right? The day we stop making assumptions with our loved ones, our ways of communicating will change completely. We know we've stopped making assumptions when we have no more conflicts. Interesting. Every one of us, I don't know about you, but every day there's some little conflict, some little thing. So I need to stop and say, what assumption am I making? And there's another way to keep from making assumptions, and that's to find your voice to ask for what you want. Interesting. We all have the right to ask, and others have the right to say no. They have a right to ask us, and then we can say no without guilt. We can go into that another time. A very busy young mother of a large family was asked by her 10-year-old daughter if she would accompany the daughter's class on an all-day field trip to Brookfield Zoo. And because the family was so large, the mother tried very hard to give each individual child time and attention. So she saw this as an opportunity to provide one of those special opportunities for this daughter. And she was pleased that the daughter wanted her to come along. So the family lived several hours away. So the trip meant leaving around 8 a.m. and not returning until 8 p.m. And logistics to plan for the rest of the family were awesome. Prepare for each other sibling who'd be staying home, providing advanced care and things that would be needed for each child for the entire day. And one was a special needs child in a wheelchair, so she had to reschedule things and several things, including 2 dental appointments. And As the mother was making her list, which enabled her to go over all the bases, she carried on idle conversation with her daughter about the trip. This will be really nice to spend the day together, won't it? Yeah, she suggested. Yes, responded the daughter. And mother continued. And it is important for me to go with you, isn't it? She asked questions. And the daughter answer was a big surprise. What's really neat, she said, is that if you have one of your own parents on the trip, when you go into the gift shop and you see something you want, you can get it. In this instance, it was the gift shop potential, not the companionship, that was important to the little girl. Because of the daughter's openness and honesty, the mother could better evaluate her need to accompany her daughter on the field trip. And after a little more discussion, she worked out a different plan, which better met the needs of both the mother and the daughter. They planned an afternoon for the two of them. When the girl went on the field trip, the mom made sure she had extra money to spend in the gift shop. Interesting. The important points here is the love and the willingness of the young mother allowed the daughter to respond openly and honestly. And the mother was willing to ask questions and understand the real need that her daughter had. And she didn't assume nor take it personally when the daughter was not after her companionship. So ask questions. If you don't understand something, ask. Have the courage to ask questions. Ask until you're clear about a situation. Then you don't have to assume. So, by making this, one agreement a habit, our life will be completely transformed. Without making assumptions, our word becomes impeccable. I'm going to summarize the 3 points I made today. Number one, we make assumptions all the time. We assume things and then give them meaning based on our assumptions. Number two, an assumption is a belief. The universe always supports our beliefs by making them our experience. And number three, the antidote is clear communication. Find your voice to ask for what you want and to courage to hear the answer. So, what do you really know? There is one assumption that I think we should all make, and that's the assumption that there is a power for good in the universe and we can use it. That the universe is a friendly place. That peace is our birthright. That love is our essence. Let's know that together. Let's know today in the deepest part of our being that despite all that's happening in our world today, that there is a greater reality in the power for good, in the power of God, the presence that we are and that is here, and all is well. Thank you.
And so it is. All is well. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. And you're going to come back and pray with us in just a little bit. Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Toni. Okay, so we want to share. This is our time for sacred giving. And I just am so grateful. I have received much today. Even the reminder of, releasing the need to be right and be in control. There's so much wisdom in just allowing. Thank you for that clear and concise message. So if you've received as I've received, remember that this law of circulation says giving activates receiving. And we have Venmo and we have PayPal, and it's actually the links are right underneath wherever it is that you're watching this. There's a link that'll take you right to that. So thank you for supporting our community and what we do in the world, how we show up in the world. And if you can join with me for our sacred giving affirmation. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. And so it is. So we have a couple of announcements. Of course, our Thursday night Sacred Circle at 7. And we have a wonderful guest this week. Sonia Prince is going to be our leader this week, and it's going to be a wonderful hour. Again, it's Sacred Circle at 7 on Thursday nights. That's Eastern Time, depending upon where it is that you're watching. Join us for a wonderful community. And there is an amazing retreat this weekend, and that is the scan. Or you can always reach out to me if you have any questions on how to get to it. But it's in the Northeast. We're actually hosting some stuff, and it's so exciting to have a retreat going. And this is actually Southern Mass. And it's going to be Reverend Michelle Watley is going to be the keynote of it. Awaken your soul, a life enhancing retreat. And there are still spots available. So if you're available, join by all means. If you want to reach out to me, you're welcome to do that. And save the date, lighting the way of love, soul to soul to soul. And this is actually a retreat for Spirit CSL, and it's going to be in Charleston, South Carolina. How exciting! In February, it is in again on the East Coast. You can come visit us at save the date for February 19th to the 22nd. How fun! So thank you. It has been a pleasure to be here with you. And, before we pray, again, the last one that I wanted to really announce was, if you're thinking of, I thought of taking classes, I thought about something lately, go to her website. It's ToniLaMotta.com. And she is incredible. She's got something new starting up soon, I believe the first week of November, and there's all kinds of classes. So enhance your life and go a little deeper. Again, it's ToniLaMotta.com. Amazing instructor with so many resources. So grateful to have you here with us today, Reverend Dr. Toni. So I'm going to bring you in before we play our final song, and I'm going to ask you if you can pray with us.
And so we come to that knowing of the power, knowing of the goodness, knowing what we call God, presence, essence, recognizing that as the source of all good, recognizing that is love, and it is the only power in the universe. And as I recognize that, I recognize that that is who I am. When I know it for myself and I learn more deeply to love myself, I can easily see it in each view and each person I meet. I can see it in those at war. I can see it all across the world because I know there is only one. And so in my own life, I choose to be a vehicle, a presence of peace. And the way I choose that this day is by letting go of anything that I have a need to be right or to be in control. I choose this day to listen more deeply, not to be understood, but to understand. I listen each day because I see the face of God in everyone I meet. And I recognize that face as the presence in my own life as well. And so I celebrate who we are individually and together. I recognize that others may not see things as I see them, and I know that they are all God, they are all good. And so I give great thanks. Great thanks for this teaching that allows us to recognize how to walk between the worlds, to recognize that what we see is not the truth, because there is a presence and a power so far beyond what I'm able to see with my eyes. And it is all God, it is all good. And so I release this word knowing that my word has power. And as I speak, it manifests. I manifest peace, love, joy. That's the truth. And so I let it be. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you so much. And it's a blessing to have each one of you watching. Thank you for being here with us. Know that we are grateful for your presence, your consciousness, your love, and we send it right back to you. Blessings and love. Our final song is All My Assumptions by Megan McDonald. Have a blessed and beautiful week. Namaste.
Thanks.
All my assumptions and the troubles they can bring my way. They bury me neath the bottomless ocean of assuming that I know the way. That my way is right, that there's day and there's night and there's nothing in between the two. And if you just see it my way, well then what a great day. But I'm really a kid without a clue because of all my assumptions and the way they muddy up the light. They run me around and distort my perception and convince me above all I'm right. Right to think this and right to feel that and the right to get all upset. But I won't tell you, I'll just keep my mind glued to the past or the future, so I never forget all my assumptions. I wear them like a pretty crown. Then late at night, they're misbehaved children jumping on the bed and running round, yelling, she probably thinks, or they probably thought, or you know they're talking about you, and you're just not his type. Besides, he's all hype, and well, come on, you can guess the truth. The truth? The truth? Could the truth be anywhere in there? I don't think so. All my assumptions keeping me warm late at night. Oh, nothing fuels anger like a bitter consumption of assuming that I know what's right, or assuming that I know what's wrong, or assuming I know how you feel, or assuming that you've got a plan. Well, she's a lot prettier, so she's happier. She'd write a check. Oh, she's way more organized. I sort of assumed they'd call by now. Probably